There's a force we use every single day, in almost every moment, that has the power to completely shape our lives, and yet we almost never think about it. Today, we're diving into the incredible power of our words. Just imagine for a second, what if the most powerful tool you have for building up or tearing down your reality isn't something you can buy? What if you already have it? It's a pretty radical thought, isn't it? And that tool is, quite simply, your voice. And look, this isn't some power that's just for a select few. It's universal. We all have it. The interesting thing is, unlike any other skill we practice to get better, we use this one constantly. But, well, we rarely do it with any conscious training or clear intention. Think about the constant stream of words, from your first good morning to the last text you send at night. Most of the time, we're just on autopilot, not really thinking about the true weight and impact that every single one of those words has on our world and on ourselves. And that impact brings us to the core idea here. Words are rarely neutral. They act more like a double-edged sword. With the exact same energy, they can either build or they can destroy. On one side, you've got the words that demolish. We're not talking about a literal death, of course, but about the slow wear and tear of criticism, the energy drain of constant complaining, or the social poison that is gossip. Then, on the complete opposite end, you have the words that build, the encouragement that fuels people, the gratitude that can change the entire mood of a room, and the truth, when it's spoken with love, that makes everything stronger. This idea has been around for thousands of years, summed up perfectly in the wisdom of Proverbs. It puts it so directly. The power of life and death is in the tongue. This means that every single one of us is either an architect or demolisher in our daily interactions. That's not just a nice metaphor, it's a real operating principle of human relationships. So let's look at the demolition side first. It's fascinating how, a lot of the time, without any bad intentions, our words can act like a wrecking ball, smashing into our own world and the worlds of people around us. And the effects are very real, and sometimes they're devastating. A relationship grows cold because of one sarcastic comment too many. Someone's self-esteem gets chipped away by constant criticism. Opportunities just disappear when complaining becomes a habit instead of problem-solving. And trust, that thing that takes years to build, can be torn down in a single moment. You see, it's rarely one big, catastrophic blow. It's more like a slow erosion. If you think of your life and your relationships as a building, every complaint is like pulling out a brick. Every little criticism is a crack in the wall. Over time, all those little hits weaken the whole structure until it just can't stand anymore. Okay, so we've seen the destructive power, but let's look at the other edge of that sword. Because that same energy, when you channel it differently, has the power to build absolute cathedrals in our lives and relationships. It's time to talk about being a verbal architect. So here's a simple game plan to start building. Step 1 is just to pause. Create that little bit of space between the impulse to speak and the word itself. Second, speak with intention. Ask yourself, what's the goal here? Am I adding something or taking something away? Third, listen to understand. Sometimes the most constructive thing you can do is say nothing at all, a silence that says, I get it. And fourth, offer genuine encouragement. Not empty compliments, but specific observations that tell someone, I see you and I value what you do. When these principles start to become a habit, the change is incredible. Your words stop being just reactive and become proactive. They transform into the very foundation of trust and the bridges that create real, lasting connections with other people. The theory is great, but let's be real, the true challenge is putting it into practice. How can we actually work this into our busy, everyday lives so it's not just a nice idea, but a real habit? The key is to start with something small and specific. So here's the challenge, the one tangible action. Every single day, choose one person and offer them one specific, honest word of encouragement. Not a generic good job, but a detailed, I noticed how you handled that tense situation with such calm. That was really impressive. That specificity is what gives it real power. The power of this one small daily act is exponential. See, these little acts of verbal construction don't just build up the person who receives them. They actually rewire us. They train our own minds to look for the good. And over time, they can totally change the culture of our homes, our workplaces, our entire environment. And so, that brings us to the end, with a question that's really more of an invitation. The tool has always been right there with you. In your next conversation, your next email, that text you're about to send, the choice is going to be there again. So the only question that really matters is, what are you going to build today?